We are beings of light. Ancient scripture has always told us symbolically of these truths, and now modern science is proving that as a fact. Professor Fritz Albert Popp was a biophysicist in Germany at the University of Marburg, and he was teaching radiology and playing around with chemicals and their relation to electromagnetic frequencies. Popp discovered that a specific chemical he was working with, benzo-A-pyrene, would absorb ultraviolet light and then re-emit it at a completely different wavelength. It was a light scrambler. Funny enough, its chemical cousin, benzo-E-pyrene, is harmless to humans, and it allowed the ultraviolet light to pass through unaltered. He tested many more chemicals, some known to be harmful to humans and some not, and found that all of the harmful substances would scramble the light, and it scrambled it at a specific frequency, 380 nanometers. He was astounded and then researched into this phenomenon called photo repair. It's well known that if you blast a cell with ultraviolet light until 99% of it, even its DNA, is destroyed, that you can repair the cell in just a single day by blasting it with the same ultraviolet wavelength, just at a much lower intensity. When I read this, I thought of homeopathy. Professor Popp was struck by the fact that photo repair worked most efficiently at the same frequency that these chemicals would scramble, the 380 nanometers. He wrote about this concept that he found, and a couple medical journals actually published his work. Then one of Professor Popp's students asked him to oversee his doctoral dissertation. And Popp said, "Only if you can show me that living things emit light." And coincidentally enough, that student was pretty much an engineering genius, and he really wanted to prove Professor Popp wrong. So he built a huge device that would actually look at photon by photon. It was called a photomultiplier. And what that student built is actually still considered to be one of the best pieces of equipment in the field. And in 1976, they tested it. And they snipped a piece of a plant and put this fresh material into a light-sealed box. And when they flipped on the screen, it lit up. And Professor Popp explained, we know today that man is essentially a being of light. And they went on to find that all the cells of our body communicate with these photons, which they termed biophotons. And especially our DNA was found to harbor them, which cohered and harmonized them. This may explain the scientific mystery of how a single little strand of DNA can make a fully functioning human. DNA essentially acts as an antenna, cohering and harmonizing these photons as information. And it gives and receives this information from the source field, or the life force energy that connects everything. Popp also found that cancer could be considered a loss of coherent light. Less light equals more disease or more dis-ease. And good vibes and good health could be considered more coherent light. So how do we literally enlighten ourselves? Well, we must eat whole organic foods. If you've ever seen the Kirlian photography of food, raw natural organic foods will give off much more of this bioenergy. And we must exercise. Not overstress ourselves with the strenuous exercise, but we must also practice what's called working in techniques like Tai Chi, yoga, or breathing exercises. We must meditate, and we must get into the habit of thinking purely loving thoughts as much as we can, not only for other people, but for ourselves as well. Doing all of these things will make us into the most healthy, energetic humans that we can be. You must literally work to become the light. Hope you enjoyed that video. Please donate if you feel obliged, and let me know what you think down below.